Okay, so I'm going to try my hardest to lay out this discussion from both sides of the argument, because actually I don't know what side I stand on. If any, maybe I do stand in the middle on the fence, but let's try to find that out. Let's just talk about both sides of the question. Should we cancel Michael Jackson's music? Now, I recently watched the Leaving Neverland documentary again. I watched it when it came out a couple of years ago, and I just recently watched it last week. I also watched many of Michael Jackson's performances on YouTube and some of his songs, some of his music videos on YouTube, and no doubt they are inspiring. What incredible music he managed to create. So let's lay out this discussion. Let's just try to think about this question of should we cancel Michael Jackson's music and see if we can get anywhere with this. Now, let's start with this Leaving Neverland documentary, which is quite similar to many of the other documentaries that got made about Michael Jackson's personal life. And they were trying their best to expose what they believe is the truth about Michael Jackson molesting many boys. Now, the reason why these points are necessary in this discussion is because if, in fact, Michael Jackson did molest all of these boys, then should his music not be played? Because if we do play his music, is that then representing a paedophile? Is that kind of condoning a paedophile's actions? Should we say that if somebody does something, a crime of this horrific nature, that all of their work should be wiped? So many people say, they don't think that Michael Jackson did molest these boys. And actually, I don't want this video to get into, I suppose, whether he did or he didn't. But what I do want to say is that after watching these documentaries talking about his darker personal side, it's very unusual that so many boys would come out against him. It's so unusual to see so many documentaries made about this subject. And actually, when you see some of the video clips on YouTube of him with the boys, talking openly about how he shares a bed with them, he sleeps with them, he has sleepovers at his house with them. He didn't deny any of those things. I think in today's society, if he had gone on national TV like he had and explained that this is what he does, and the young boys of 12 years old, 10 years old are also on there explaining that that's what they do with him, I don't think that would ride today, right? I don't think we would accept that as acceptable in today's society on national TV. I think it would cause uproar, and I'm confident in saying that. So let's just take some optimism from that point right there. Let's just see and observe how far we have come as a society. Now, I've got a video that I just want to quickly show that really highlights what we wouldn't accept today. Let me just quickly find that and then I'll play it. 1 second.
They've stayed in your house. They've stayed in your bedroom.
Well, very few.
But, some have. And they say, is that really appropriate for a grown man to be doing that? How do you respond to that?
I feel sorry for them because that's judging someone who wants to really help people. Why can't you share your bed? The most loving thing to do is to share your bed with someone. You
really think that?
Yeah, of course.
You're taking a position that you use every single night that you go into. You sleep, and you're sharing it with another.
You say you can have my bed if you want. Sleep in it. I'll sleep on the floor. It's yours. Always give the best to the company, Like to him, I said, because he was going to sleep on the floor. I said, no, you sleep in the bed. I'll sleep on the floor.
But haven't you got a spare room or a spare house here where he could have stayed?
Yeah, but no. Yes, we have guest units, but whenever kids come here, they always want to stay with me.
Okay, when you watch that, it's so mind-blowing that would be on national TV and it wouldn't cause uproar. But again, we're saying it in today's society, it wouldn't ride, and I'm so pleased to say that. It means we're moving forward. So we have a 12-year-old boy here, I believe he's 12, forgive me if he's not, but he is a young boy with his head on Michael Jackson's shoulders, and they're talking about sharing a bed. And so that is not acceptable behavior from a 35-year-old man, or maybe a 40-year-old man in this interview, I'm not sure. Also, on the Leaving Neverland documentary in particular, he is they use clips of Michael Jackson filmed in public, at concerts, at award shows, and he's always got a boy with him. He's always holding hands with a boy. So this kind of at least will show us that there was something not right going on there, because we wouldn't accept that in today's society, even if people who are watching this are from the camp saying that he never did anything. Then I don't think a 40-year-old man should be having boys sleep over in his bed without, period. That shouldn't be happening. So that is showing the darker side of Michael Jackson's personal life. A lot of people I know say that these boys who have come out now and are saying that Michael Jackson did this to him, even though they've been silent for so many years. A lot of people are saying it's for money. And you know what? I did hear that one of the boys did take an out-of-court settlement, and I'm furious that they did that. I'm furious. Maybe they had their reasons and I shouldn't judge, but I heard that his parents took an out-of-court settlement. If you are parents and your child have been molested by any man, would you take an out-of-court settlement, or would you be going all the way? I hope you would be going all the way. As a survivor myself, I certainly would be going all the way with the person that I'm accusing of molesting me. So it's a shame that the money thing got built into that this story. And I feel like it kind of discredits it in some way. But anyway, we've got a lot of people, a lot of guys now, a lot of men speaking out against Michael Jackson, all saying the same thing. So should we then believe these survivors of child sexual abuse and say that we should wipe his music because of it, because we don't want to support paedophiles in our society? Or do we then say that we need to separate Michael Jackson's music and his personal life? Do we say that he should have been held, we should have pushed to hold him accountable against these accusations, and but we should still keep his music online? The reason why I say that, and the reason why I consider being somebody that says we should keep his music online, is because his music literally inspired millions of people. In fact, to make it even more relatable, even if Michael Jackson's music didn't inspire you directly, it inspired the artists that you're probably listening to today. It inspired generations of musicians. In fact, it was probably so deep that it actually changed the culture of music. It probably tweaked the sound of music, because when he was out, he was so popular that the people growing up listening to him, who are now famous musicians or are now making renowned music, they would have been influenced by his style and the way he did things. So actually the music we're listening to today is heavily influenced by what he did. And we're still enjoying that music. We enjoyed and we are still enjoying the sound that he brought. He inspired millions of people, and his music continues to inspire people. Today, people who grew up with him are still going back to his records and listening to them. So that's where I start to think to myself, to wipe his music, to wipe his art, are we then losing that inspiration for so many millions? Are we then losing that magic in the music? Should we lose that? Should we lose the art that has been created that makes somebody dance, makes somebody smile, makes somebody feel good? That is where I have a conflict of interest, you know. When I talked about this with somebody actually last year, They mention that if, let's say, we had somebody who had um, invented something that we use every day that's made our life a lot easier, and some years down the line when they passed we found out they'd done horrific crimes like what Michael Jackson has been accused of, would we then wipe that invention? If it was the light bulb or the washing machine or the automotive car, like, would we then wipe those inventions? I don't think we would, because they're very useful. Can we make that slight comparison here with and what I'm trying to get at is, should we be cancelling people's work because of their personal life? I'm really, really not sure. So a lot, let's go back to his personal life, his darker side. Many people will say that he was never proven to be guilty and it's innocent until proven guilty. Many people say that, he stood a trial. He went through the court system, so we should leave him alone if he's not guilty. And is that because he's Michael Jackson? People say that because I like to think nobody who follows me is saying that I'm making this up. Nobody who follows me is saying that the man that did this to me, who I tried to take to court, who was found not guilty, is not guilty. Everybody that follows me, I like to think, believes that what I'm saying is true. But there's some doubt when it comes to the accusers of Michael Jackson, and I believe one of the reasons is because Michael Jackson is such a massive star. I mean, he is like a star like no other living today. And I believe that there will never be a star as big as Michael Jackson, because now there's no exclusivity of famous people now. They're all over your Instagram, they're all over online, they're all over YouTube, so you can really find out about them. It's like you know them from a personal kind of perspective. But in Michael Jackson's era, I mean, there wasn't even any internet. It was tapes, videotapes, DVDs, was it? I'm not sure. And magazines, Top of the Pops, that kind of shows, that kind of thing. So he was very exclusive, therefore more desirable. So he was such a massive star. So is some of the people who are like, I don't believe Michael Jackson did anything to those boys, even though if they watched any other survivor, maybe a survivor who they know in their family or in their friendship group, they would never not believe that person. But when it comes to Michael Jackson, it's just different. Is it because it's ruining dreams if people were to accept that Michael Jackson is a paedophile? Does it mean like that it's ruining people's youth, people's childhood in some ways, to think that this man actually did these things? So crazy. But when you look at some of his music, like, let's take some tracks, right? Let's take Black or White. I mean, that track still stands the test of time today. He was talking about things 20 years ago that are still so relevant today. He was onto something. He was a unique mind. Let's take another song. Let's take Earth Song. What an incredible song. What an incredible music video. And anybody that writes a song like Black or White, Earth Song, Heal the World, they are obviously somebody who does have care for the way human beings are being. That obviously was inside of him if he wrote those songs. I can't quote that he wrote those songs, but I'm pretty sure, I'm going to say that he did. He obviously had something in his mind that was caring, that cared about how we were living as people. So let's actually, I shouldn't have put Michael Jackson as a person into that songwriting thing. That was a mistake. Apologies. Let's just look at those as pieces of music. Let's look at those as written songs and pieces of music. They're still so relevant today. Should we wipe those messages? Regardless who they come from, should we be wiping those messages? They're still valid today. Really, they are. It's almost like it would be a shame to wipe those significant pieces of work. You know, it would be a shame. I just don't know. I just don't know how to think about this. I just don't know how to feel about this. Let's put me in a position of these men now that are accusing Michael Jackson of molesting them as children. And actually, in the Leaving Neverland documentary and other documentaries, they talk about it quite explicitly. Come on, when I watched the Leaving Neverland documentary the first time, I was so pleased. I was so pleased that they're on national TV speaking about it in explicit terms. You know, they talked about the oral, they talked about the anal penetration. They talked about the masturbation. Like, they didn't beat around the bush. They really didn't. I was so pleased. Now, if I was to put myself in their position, every single time I heard a Michael Jackson song, every single time I saw somebody dance to a Michael Jackson song or sing a Michael Jackson song or praise Michael Jackson, I would definitely feel hurt. Because I would be wondering why these people were praising this man, even though, as if I was putting myself in the shoes of the person who he molested, even though I know what he did and who he is. Do other survivors of child sexual abuse also feel that way when they see the general public praising Michael Jackson in some way, calling him the king of pop, calling him a legend, when they possibly have been abused and they're seeing Michael Jackson as the abuser? Personally, for me, if somebody plays a Michael Jackson track at a party or sings to a Michael Jackson track, I don't take offense to that. One thing I do think is, I do wonder who else in the room is possibly taking offense to that, because I know a lot of people have wiped their Spotify or wiped their iTunes of his music. I know that. So I'm interested to see who else in the room is feeling offended by that. But personally, for me, I'm not feeling offended by if somebody's enjoying music, right? But another interesting point, do we see a difference when it comes to Michael Jackson and R. Kelly? Now, okay, R. Kelly has been convicted, if I remember rightly, so maybe we could say there's a bit of a different situation here. But from some of the people I've talked to, R. Kelly is dirt. Like, he's a monster. Nobody's playing. Many people are not playing R. Kelly's music. Many people are straight up opinionated about that. But then when you ask about Michael Jackson, the views are slightly different, right? So how, I've got to try to answer this question, haven't I? Because I put it out there. Should we cancel Michael Jackson's music? And I don't want to make a call on it. Because I just don't know. I believe there'll be a big loss if we were to do that, because we're losing significant music. We're losing important messages. We're losing, if we remove it, we're losing all the millions of people that go back to that music year on year when they're feeling low, when they're feeling down. That opportunity to use that music to bring them up is now gone. And yes, maybe they could find other music that does that, but if you grew up with music, it has a place in your heart. It's not saying that Michael Jackson has a place in their heart, or maybe people do think that's the case. But maybe that music is very useful and important to those people. Should we remove it? Should we just separate the man and his work and just let the work be? Let the work exist. I'm leaning towards that. Decision. But I still don't know. I still don't know what the right answer is. Maybe there isn't a right answer. If you have an opinion on this, please comment. Because if we can get the comments going and see what people are thinking, then maybe we could just try to find out a little bit more and understand how people are feeling about this. So